Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Excited to have you with us tonight. Got a great interview planned for you. Got a couple things I want to share before we bring Dan on. Want to hopefully tonight, I'm hoping we get some updates tonight regarding loot boxes. If we don't tonight, they're going to come soon. I feel like this is your first time with us. We're here every Thursday night. If you're watching the recording, good to have you. As soon as we're done tonight, we'll hop on the corporate live training. Here's the URL at the top of the page. You can also access it from your Ihub Global back office. They happen every Thursday night at 9 o'clock. We're here at 8 o'clock every single week. So appreciate you guys being with us tonight. I just want to, again, keep reminding you guys about the noon powwows every day at noon. I just think they're getting better and better. A lot of great comments, suggestions, ideas, encouragement for people. If you have any type of questions, you can jump on there any Tuesday through Friday at 12 o'clock and get your answers, get your questions answered. They're over in about 30 minutes. Alan does a phenomenal job at heading those up. So just wanted to remind you that cmgoutreachzoom.com every Tuesday through Friday at noon. Want to recognize our top award winners this week for their company reports. If you don't document your numbers, you can't improve them. And personal accountability is just such a crucial part of success when you're involved in anything entrepreneurial. Number 6 this week was Shelly. Shelly's in Utah. Good to see her on the leaderboard. Not surprising. Kamala was number 5. Kamala's in Michigan. Number 4 this week was Mike Culver. Mike's in Wisconsin. Phillip Cantu hit the leaderboard this week. Number 3. He's in Costa Rica currently. Good to see Phillip hit the leaderboard. Steady Dave, number 2 this week. Dave Buchanan. Dave's in Florida, doing a phenomenal job, just consistency at its best. And then number 1, of course, Gordy and Kelly Otterson again with 42, just living legends in the ERC recovery space. That's all you can say. That's all you can say. Living legends. I've added this week. I'm going to be adding more and more of these pages, I'm sure. I know a lot of you are really close, and I wanted to do this just as a reminder to you guys to make sure you send me an email and let me know once you've got $100,000 of book commissions at the IRS. Once that happens, send me an email so I can get you recognized up here. All these 5 people have 100,000 plus. A couple have over 200,000 and even over 300,000. So it's just awesome because this page is going to be, it's just going to be exciting for me throughout the year as more and more of you hit this page. It's going to be phenomenal, and I think it'll be exciting, hopefully, for all of you all. And while we're on that, how does that make you feel to see this? It's a really good question to ask, because some of you thinking, I'm going to be up there. And that's really probably the only proper response. Congratulations to them. I'm right behind them. I'm going to be up there. Or, yeah, they could because they did this or they had that, or excuses. It's one or the other. We all started this journey at the same time, pretty much. And granted, a lot of people have joined us in the last couple of 3 months. A lot of people joined us last week. But this is just, they're setting the pace and showing the example of what can be done. So take this and let it encourage you every week, I guess is the message. For those of you that did not attend this, did not see it, this was so much more than I had anticipated. I really didn't think it was going to be near the seminar that it was. It was phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth your time. I made a tiny URL so it's easy to find. It's also available, this goes to a YouTube page, but it is worth it, especially if you're on a road trip or something, you want something to listen to. But I would go through every bit of this. It was really a really good event. I know a lot of you attended. I hadn't planned on listening all day, but I ended up listening all day while I was working, and it was just really worth the time, much more than I had anticipated. This is the most significant programming your mind idea concept that I've heard in a couple of years. I hope every one of you that saw this event have been telling yourself all week, I don't do blank. I don't do blank. I hope you've been using it, because hearing it without knowledge, without implementation is never good. But this was a phenomenal training. And a lot of you out there I know that heard it have been using it. But if you have not heard it, I was going to try to explain it, but it's 10 times better if she does. So just make sure if you do nothing, like in the next couple of days, Dale, I can't watch that whole 6 hours training. Okay, watch this. Watch this. Write this URL down. Make sure you see it. Make sure you get it. Make sure you focus on it, because, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, it's powerful. It's powerful. It's based upon the science of neuroplasticity. It's what Napoleon Hill was teaching 40, 50 years ago. Now science has proven it. And it's a powerful, powerful concept that you can do every single day. I can't stress this highly enough. I just can't. It's phenomenal. Make sure you write down that URL, watch it. I just took her part out so people can go right to that. To me, the whole thing was phenomenal, but this was at a different level. And I just thought it was great, this concept that she teaches, because you can implement it immediately as soon as you hear it. So I wanted to say that. Dawn, is Dan here? Dan Bruning, are you here?
Yes, he's here.
Oh, cool. Got on late, gives me the jitters. I don't like, yeah, gives me the jitters.
I'm here.
Okay, great, man. Guys, I probably have known Dan longer than anybody on this team. Longer than anybody. He and I met back in the NSA days. And I think he was sponsored under Phil Shuff. I can't remember, but Phil was a sideline of mine in that company. And some of you remember Phil's story he's in session number 4 of the MLM Success podcast and a couple more. Over the years, Dan has been my go-to guy whenever I needed any type of advertising specialist for our business, whether it was t-shirts, buttons, any button that you've ever seen us use as a team, they came from Dan, award pins, and on and on. I just like doing business with good people. And Dan is a great human being. He's a fellow Kentuckian, which gives him a notch up for sure. But the bottom line, he's just somebody I trust. I just trust him. And I am beyond excited to witness the success he's had with us since joining Ihub Global. It's just been awesome. It's almost like seeing my brother achieve. So, Dan, I am excited to have you with us. Welcome to the call tonight.
Thank you, Dale.
Dale, can you hit your stop share?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you to our program. Appreciate you being here, man.
Well, thank you, Dale. I appreciate it.
I was trying to think, because I was trying to remember if my memory serves me correctly, and it may not. I think you were sponsored by Phil Shuff or in Phil's line, but just kind of talk about maybe the early years when we first met, what you remember about that time, what it meant to you, how different is it now, whatever you want to share there. I think it would be beneficial for people to just kind of get a good understanding of your history with network marketing, NSA, whatever you want to share.
How I didn't know anything about network marketing at the time when I jumped into NSA. And it was through my wife knowing Tim Jenkins. That's how I was brought into it, because they both worked at Chilito's, and she said, we need to go do this. We just need to go over to Georgetown and go see this presentation or something like that. And that's how I got started, was through that contact through Tim. So, and I can prove it a little bit. I mean, you see that right there? Does anybody know what that is? That's the last piece of NSA Airfield filtration.
Okay. Yeah.
That I had. That actually I've had for, golly, when was NSA, Dale? I'm telling you, this thing's over 20 years old, maybe 25.
Yeah, it was 90s, 89, 90.
89, something like that. I'm still, that was in my bedroom for that long. I've managed to keep that thing running forever. So with that piece is done. So I mean, that started the journey, and then we didn't do anything in that. Then we got into New Image, and then that's how, once I was in New Image, then that's when I was starting to do the shirts and some banners and some things like that. And I remember I actually pulled out artwork today from 1997, 98. So I have that on file. I have this stuff on file. I have almost everything I've ever designed on file. I keep records of it. So too bad there's not a collectible for that one. But I do. And then that led to what? Euphoria, APL Go, Serbia.
You did a lot of the printing for New Image Corporate, right?
For New Image
Corporate.
I started out doing the apparel for New Image.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. That was a lot. So
yeah, and actually I was kind of happy. I didn't know jack about network marketing, but I knew how to print shirts.
Right. Yeah. So then over the years after New Image, I mean, anything I've personally needed, I've always come to you.
True.
And then I guess at some point, I know what it was. When what's the little Fobs, whatever the name of that company was, the Advertising Fobs. Serbia. When I first saw that, it's like, some of you've heard the story, but it was a cool little device that would ping messages to people's cell phones. And so my whole idea when I saw that technology was, I got to get these all through Rupp Arena, all through Kroger Field, to promote Wildcat Gifts, our website. When people come to the games, they're getting pinged on their cell phone with my ads for my merchandise on those websites. That was the thought behind it. And then I found out it was a network marketing company. And it's like, man, I haven't built a network marketing team forever. And it's like, I don't know if I should do this. And then I said, well, I'm gonna do something with it. And it's like, that was the day Dawn came downstairs, and I'm in the office downstairs on the phone. And she said, I could have sworn you just said that you're getting ready to build a network marketing company. When we got married, you promised me you were done with that stuff. But long story short, the first person I thought of was you. And you and I met in Midway, Kentucky, halfway between Georgetown and Frankfort, because I thought advertising, who do I know that does advertising? Who do I know that'll have a market for this? Dan Bruning. And you were the first person, when I got back in the profession, building teams after not being around, not building for years, you were the first person I enrolled. And if you'd puked on me, I might not be here tonight. It's a thought.
Oh, I was all about it. I remember going to Midway, and
yeah,
we had a good lunch for about an hour, and he showed me that device, and next thing I know, I'm in, and I'm running around Frankfurt, and I'm setting these things up left and right. I've got this stuff hanging off telephone poles, and got businesses involved in it. And really just it was the first time I actually found something that was a lotion or a potion that I actually, and I like tech, so I just jumped in on it, even though I'm not real techie, but I like tech.
Yeah.
And so I jumped in on it, and it started building. I think that's when things started happening, because, I've listened to a lot of tapes. I've listened to you, been to a lot of stuff, just couldn't really get it launched. But that was now in my element. I mean, I was used to going into businesses and go B2B. So, and I knew most of Frankfurt because I've been here for 35 years, raised my kids here and stuff. I know a lot of the people, and I would kind of work under the radar. I don't need to be running for politics or anything like that, but I just know people. I know how to get it done, and I'll just go out of my way to get stuff done and work with the church and the school, and just I'll stop what I'm doing to go help a guy down the street that has a business because he can't get it loaded up to the ARC thing or whatever, and I'll just stop and just go help him. But I think it's just in my nature to do it. And it just that was good. It just started. It helped me out a lot to get started.
If Google hadn't pulled the plug on that, we'd probably still be doing it today.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But once I guess the Mac side of it went down. They never, and then Google took it off their end, and then it was toast. Yeah, it was over with. But it would put messages on people's phones.
Absolutely. Since joining ERC, about how much time? Because I know you're part-time. I know you got responsibilities doing the fish fries for your church. You've had some health challenges we won't get into, but they've been there. But how much time have you put into this on average since you started, would you say?
Well,
ERC?
Just like you say, run when you can run. So I spend, I guess, on average 2 hours or 3 hours a day, which is basically part-time. And I focus, like I'll spend 2 hours in the morning, like 10 to noon. I'll head to the gym, eat lunch, head to the gym. I'll come back, I'll work, then maybe work it from 2 to 4. So it could be anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours. Do supper, do whatever I need to do. And then sometimes I'll sit here at the end of the night because I stay up late, and I'll send out emails or do homework on businesses to line up to go see. And I like, I don't have a problem with being on the phone now, and I don't have a problem going in the door. So I'll flip it back and forth. It really depends on how much time I have. If pulling on doors is a ticket, that's fine. I've been trying to focus on that for the last week or so, just to see if I can. I don't think I'm really in a funk, but I'm not getting as many as I have been. But I did get out, and I was able to go out this week, and I think that, let's see. When I'm out, I usually have one place I want to hit, but I always see about 3 or 4 that I'll stop in on, and I just do it. And just getting your line down. First one's always the hardest. Get your line down, and then once I knock out the first one, good or bad, it settles me down. It's like being the start of a baseball game. Some guys go out and go on the sideline and dugout and they go puke. I remember the coach of the team. Every time a game started, he'd go over to the back end of the dugout and puke his guts out, and then he was ready to go. And he was the coach. He wasn't even in the game. Well, he is in the game, but he's not in the game.
Yeah.
So
yeah, first one's the hardest. Even every day, the first one's the hardest. Every
Right.
day, the first one's the hardest.
The first one's the hardest every day. Yeah.
Yeah. You've been around a lot of different businesses, seen a lot of different opportunities. Have you ever seen anything in your life that has this type of upside income structure and potential?
Well, I am in the Proforma family, which is, I'm a member of about 600 or 700 in a $500 billion company that markets. So I personally have had some pretty good numbers in the $10,000 to $15,000 a lick deal, but I haven't had the average income in this promotional marketing business is about $600. So
Per deal.
that's the average, of a normal sale.
Right.
Now I've landed about every year. I'll land 1, 2, or 3 jobs that might be 10 or $15 or so thousand worth of profit. So those are good licks, but nothing is consistent as ERC and the amount of income that's being generated each time, because it's the lowest one I've had has probably been, well, I don't know. Let me look at my back office. I think, well, I was going to look back at that. I think it's around $715 on 5. And that guy was a window washer, probably had part-time help. And everything else has been 2,700 to 5, 8, 12. I mean, some good numbers.
What's the biggest one you've done so far?
Probably about 18,000.
18,000 for one. Yeah.
And that's, well, now as far as commission wise, I did have, you talked about 9 businesses. Actually, I've had 15 go to the IRS, 6 of them with one company. Okay, so it was a tire store, and it had 6 locations.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and those, I didn't add all those up, but that was close to 80 employees. So that's a really good lick. And some of those commissions were like $18,000. So that's nice. And I do have one right now that's he's gathering documents at 102. It hasn't gone to the IRS, and we're waiting for him to get all his paperwork in. I've had a little bit of luck with the Mexican restaurants. I mean, I found a guy at my church. He's laid up because he actually dislocated. He didn't dislocate his hip. He actually pulled a hamstring off the bone, and he's in it's major hurt. It's a major long time for rehab, and I got to be careful. But I've had him out, and he's my bilingual guy, and he's all into it, and he doesn't want to do it by phone. So we have to go hand-to-hand combat, door to door, and so that's what we do. We go in there, and I try to get it started. Or I tell him this is what I want you to say, and then he's just off and running with it. So I plan on bringing him in, but by the time he gets healed up, the thing's going to be over with. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get him involved with it. But I plan on this week last week, I think. Last week we had one sign, had 3 restaurants. This week I had another lady, got a lead on, and I saw she had 1 restaurant. I think I even saw a second one sign in, and I didn't know she had a second restaurant. So I'm picking up some of these Mexican restaurants, and we're going to go after them.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. When we started, you said, Dale, man, if I could just get my truck paid for this year, I would think I've had a successful year. How's 2023 going to impact your life, really? With not just what you've already got to the IRS, but all that you have coming behind it.
Well, I met my goal fairly quick, I would think, November to April or early April, and hit that figure. I'm like, I'm doing it part-time. Now I'm trying to figure out ways to put more time into it. I am still very committed in my promotional marketing business that I've been doing for 30 years. It's hard to just walk away from that. And we still need, income it's not going to show up until the end of the year or better. So we just keep doing that. And it's second nature to me. I understand it well enough that I can knock it out in between, early in the morning to lunchtime to, at the end of the day, try to leave those prime hours in between for focusing on the CRC, where try to get the meat of the day, so to speak. They're the best opportunity to catch people when they're not burnt out or too much, and then work some Saturdays. So if I stay on this pace with my pro forma business, with the CRC, with some of the other stuff that's coming up, what this has taught me is that I need to diversify a little bit. The real switch has been, I'm at the point where I realize that, there's a lot of things to say about it. I mean, I have my own business, but it's almost like I own my own job. And I'm at a point where I want to do this, but at the same time, I want the time to go do other things. And if I can get this more online, where I can just do it on the phone, take a computer with me and just pack it and just go wherever I want, enjoy life with the grandkids now and stuff. I'm trying to create that, and I'm just pretty much, I've paid bills all my life, but I've never put anything away. So what 2023 means to me is a retirement. Get my retirement seated right now and do it as hard as I can. I remember my dad that when he passed away several years ago, but 300,000 in the bank, that was kind of his legacy to us. And he was able to live off it. House was paid for. I remember he said, I'm living off this. And I was like, that's 8-10 years ago, I guess, when he passed, and he had everything he wanted. I mean, he didn't need any, and I'm kind of like him in a way. I'm a little bit more driven because I get that from my mom and my uncle who had business. My mom was a nurse and ran nursing and stuff. She went as high as she can go. Kimberly Clark, she's done really well. My uncle ran a TV repair shop, and I just, every day after school, I was over there, I hung out. My dad didn't want to climb the ladder, but at the same time, I remember just that he did a good job. I mean, he raised us a little bit. They eventually split and went, divorced and all that stuff. We were the Yale family for a while, but it is what it is. Everybody's going to have their problems every now and then. But I just always had the drive. I think my mom handed it down to me, and my uncle cemented it in. And it's just, I had my business. I only worked corporate America 3 months, and I had my own business. So I didn't work very long. Well, actually, I worked 3 years in corporate America at #1 Fruit of the Loom Drive in Bowling Green, Kentucky, for Fruit of the Loom Boys, Union Underwear. So after that, I've been on my own, basically cutting, out hunting, and you got to kill what you eat every day. And so I'm kind of used to it in a way. I just needed to get over the hump of getting past the fear of going in that door or picking up that phone. Still working on it, even though I've hit 6 figures every day. Sometimes I don't want to do it. But once, like you said, we get past the first phone call, pull the first door, all that fear or whatever kind of flushes away. And now we're in mode, and I can settle down and think and concentrate and try to simplify everything I'm talking about with them.
Dan, this next one, I actually wrote it out because I wanted to make sure I asked you exactly this way. Personally, and I don't know, and I might be 100% off, but I feel like, especially since ERC, you have a deeper trust of the process we teach and this team. You're on the Zooms almost every day now, the noon Zooms, and you've really become a well-respected contributing member to this team. But I think a lot of it really had to do with just a trust factor of some kind. Am I correct, or am I totally off base? Or I'm curious what you would say to that, because I'm trying to learn something here.
Well,
It's like, dude, you've known me for 25 years. Why are you just now? It's like sometimes I want to just shake you a little.
yeah.
But so I'm just curious. I'm just honestly curious.
I guess I get what you're trying to say, and I don't know if it's really a trust factor as much as maybe it was just I just wasn't ready to plug in. I needed more reasons to really plug in. I think what happened, like I said, it started with the Servia, getting the right product. I know that, but really it was this year's, ever since then, it's been more of an effort for growth, personal growth, to try to overcome the fears. The team effort thing, I'm gonna credit that the Zooms have helped me a lot. First off, getting answers, right or wrong, or just getting some direction, because to be quite honest with you, I'm not real happy with what's going on up above us, trying to get answers about what's going on with the I've got several in the back office that I need some help with, and I can't, from, they won't talk to me. I've sent emails after emails. I've sent it to Chuck. I've sent, and I just can't get an answer out of it. Now, when they want something, I'm all over it. But they I answer, and I keep, when I get the email, I respond to them and say, hey, but what about these two? Nothing, crickets. So I get answers from the Zoom group more than anything. And so I think the other thing is, I just don't realize how much of an introvert I am in a way. I mean, I'm good when look, if you got the mold with the flow to get something done and sell, I'm right there. But for the most part, I want to be left alone. And I'm pretty happy with my own environment and my own deal. And I can go and I can deal with anybody, and things can be good. If you're not, I can get along with people I don't like. It's just, it just takes time. And I think I just made a decision in my mind that I needed to contribute back if I'm going to get what I want. So I started responding in emails, responding in the Facebook group, trying to do more of that. I mean, it's the social online part of it. When I'm away from that, man, I'm just like any other Joe when I'm talking to you face to face, more comfortable that way. But for whatever reason, sometimes, and it was even getting this out into words to get it down where I could send an email out exactly what I wanted to say. And through ERC has been a crash course in getting your act together. But even with all the screw ups that I've done, I've still plugged 6 figures, and I'm not done. And I've decided I'm not done. And my goal, like I mentioned the other day, I said, I think I need to shoot for 500,000 because I don't think my goal's high. My big fat hairy deal, big fat hairy goal is not big enough. And it might need to be more than that. I mean, like I said, if a referral here and there takes off, what am I going to do to keep up with them? And is it a goal to stay in the top 25? I don't know. I try not to even look at it. I just try to go at this point. I don't want to know where it is. I find myself sometimes looking at my back office and looking at the commission thing to see if it's going to turn. I'm ready to go to the next level. But at the same time, for that to happen, I need more leads in there. Because everybody knows on this team that half the leads stick, the other half disappear. They get lost, they don't sign, they don't fill it out, they talk to the accountant, that kind of stuff happens. So that might be a long-winded answer to the question, but I think it's not so much trust as me getting on board, all in with the product, all in with myself, all in with the service and the company. Those stars have lined up for me at this time.
I love that, man. It's a crash course in getting your act together.
That's pretty much what it was. I mean,
man, that describes it for a lot of people on this team. It's like, if you're ever going to do it, this is the time, this is the company, or just forget about it. Because you aren't going to, you get to get your act together here with people that will help you do it. And you can make more money in the process than you can doing anything ever again. So if you're ever going to get it together, now's the time. That was good. What would you tell people, Dan, they're watching this, they kind of been playing around with it, put their big toe in it, and then come back out and analyze how the ripples in the pool and just playing around, not really not decided, I'm going to go for this. I mean, they're just kind of still testing the process and trying to learn it all before they do anything. What would you tell those people?
I guess as you do this, you learn more as you go. So the first thing that I would do, and I don't know anything about it, is use that to an advantage. Get yourself down to one line, two sentences that explain what this thing is. Within 30 seconds, you should be able to say, I'm out. Hey, Mr. Business Owner, I'm just here today to connect with all the businesses in town and let them know that there's a second stimulus COVID out there. And I don't know if you know anything about it or not, but I'm just here to find out who I need to talk to, because there's a significant amount of free grant money out there to be had. Who do I talk to? You know, and just I think what they're going to have to do coming in at this point, look at those, spend a couple hours in there looking at some of the videos, get into the Facebook group, hit the file section with all the one-liners within, you know, the initial openings for connecting, and get that going. Lean on your upline to do a three-way call if you don't know anything, and just, you know, say, hey, I don't know jack about this, but this guy above me that got me involved, this is helping businesses out left and right, and he knows a lot more about it. I mean, just don't be afraid to say, I don't know jack about it. I just know this is a really good thing for the business. We're not here trying to collect a check. We're trying to give money away.
That's right.
And we're trying to give it away. And so they're going to have to do that. And as you evolve in it, I think then you can, you know, you start understanding on it. I mean, I've been in this thing for 6 months, and I've been only on one call. And that was last week, where I actually got to listen to the ERC rep.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that impressed, but he did get the job done.
Yeah. Before we start taking questions, anything else you want to share with people that are with us tonight?
Well, yeah, I think I said a lot of things here, but I did want to show you something, and it's a vintage cassette select deck. Now, can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah. I got one around around here somewhere.
I mean, the packaging on it ought to be worth, the packaging alone ought to be worth some on. This thing folds out like 4 times.
That's right. There's 8 VHS in there.
And I don't even have a cassette player anymore.
We sold that thing for $997 through
I still have this thing.
infomercials, seminars. We sold them like crazy.
Yeah, so I went downstairs and I said, I can't believe I still have that on my shelf, but I do. So I'm just saying that over the years, it's just took some time.
Dave Trilogy, do you have that? Was you showing yours, Dave Trilogy?
Dave Trilogy had the other one, the yellow one.
Oh, he's got the same one. Look.
I can't see him. That's hilarious. He did find it. So he showed up that I had the yellow one out, and I guess I shouldn't lie. It hit the trash can, but oh well. I had to make some room.
Gonna be a collector's item one day.
I'm gonna keep this one. This baby's staying.
Yeah.
Part of the memento.
Yeah. So are you gonna be selling that on eBay, and you want people to go bid on it, or what's your final thought here, Dan?
Probably first come, first serve on. I don't have the cassette player anymore. Just make me an offer.
I appreciate it, man. It's so good. Like I say, it's like seeing my brother achieve. That's how I look at the situation with you. You know, it's like, I remember he said, man, if I could just get my truck paid for, and I'm thinking he has no idea what's in store for him.
Yeah, it's just to be where I'm at right this time is just, as I think back from the day I started in networking, it took this long to get to actually start making some money. That's pretty crazy. But I think the bottom line is, you know, it's been there. It was just a matter of molding and shaping and bringing it out. But I had to make that final decision that, yeah, I'm going after this.
Yeah.
And so I sold myself. And my reasons had to be stronger than my nots, you know, my reasons to do it.
That's
and
right.
Right now I still have plenty of reasons to keep doing it. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Okay, I see Dave Trilogy. If you got questions for Dan, you can raise your hand. Dave, you're first. Dave Trilogy. Dave Trilogy. You're on mute, buddy.
I just wanted to see how many Tape of the Month tapes do you still have? Any?
I did a few of them. There was a period of time where I didn't follow Dale on everything.
You paid for it too, didn't you?
But there was a period of time when we didn't talk for a while.
Yeah.
But every time he came up with something new, I was listening.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. A lot of great information, Dan. I really appreciate it. I mean, you've been down the road just like, we got new people here. We got a lot of old timers too. And I just believe what you've said this evening has given us all a big push forward, like those Hot Wheel Chargers used to throw your cars down the track. But I just believe this whole team, the new people are here. We've got to be the absolute most cohesive group of diamonds there are. And we're going to shine so bright, everybody's going to want in.
Right. Gordy and Kelly.
Hey, great job, Dan. By golly, good stories right there. My comment would be, like you talked about Dale said, what's your biggest deal? And you said the one that maybe totaled up to 80 at Tire Source. So in my book, that's one deal because you can't help it if the guy had 6 different ones. So that's probably, I'm going to say that's probably a $25,000 to $35,000 deal would be my guess. So don't be scared to pat yourself on the back for the big deal right there. And then you mentioned 3-ways. It got me thinking right there. And I've had some people come in the shop, and it sounds like you've had maybe had some luck with 3-ways, but I've had people come in the shop and I'll tell them who you know, and they'll say, and I'll say, well, call them. And they'll look at me like I'm crazy, And I said, pull that phone out, call them right now. And they don't feel ambushed because those guys are saying, hey, I'm just over here at this guy's shop, old Gordy Alderson, that bit maker. And I figured the other day, we brought in about $2 million worth of business, not of course to us, but $2 million worth of W-2s just in 3-way calls sitting in that chair down at that shop. And then I thought about a couple other 3-ways we've done. And I don't think we've ever struck out on a 3-way. Now we might've had somebody that didn't qualify, but I don't know. Have you had some luck with doing some 3-ways with people? Because when you said that, it made me reflect, and I'm thinking, man, I need to do more 3-ways.
Well, I haven't had a physical 3-way call that's actually worked yet because I don't really have a team. But I do have a guy that, it's laid up, a Mexican guy that's laid up that he's bilingual, right? So we went to the restaurant because I've been trying to get this guy to do this for a while. And I went in there with the loop players, and he would have nothing of it. So then I went ahead and I said, and then Rogelio, who happened to be a part owner of one of his other restaurants, preferred to go in and talk to him. So we went over, he set the deal up, we went over there, and Francisco ate it up, and he was all about it. And we had him, scheduled on the call the next day. So that was my end. And then the guy, let's see, Rogelio called me back and said, well, he's only thinking about putting in, I opened my big mouth up and told him he could get it, we could give him some money if he was a referral before I had the deal inked. And I don't think I'd do that again, but let the ink dry first and then open up that you're going to be a referral, because he called up his brother-in-law or somebody in the family. There's about 80 of them. And he said, well, he got a hold of one of them. He said, well, we've already done it, and we did it at 10%, blah, blah, blah. Well, then I had to sit there and think about it. Well, I then put a letter together, an email. I didn't go confront him. I put an email together with the Dale video, the warning video, and I fired it off, and I did a pros and cons list of this is what you're getting ready to do if you decide to run with somebody else. But the list to be with us was a lot better than the list to go away from me. I mean, from business all the way down to me, to doing business with me and my Performa business, to just, trying to be greedy about it. I said, you don't know what you're going to get. I said, you have no idea what the bottom line number is, and you don't know if you're going to get half your money or not. I've heard stories. I mean, I laid it all on the line. A day later, both stores are in there on top of it. So whatever I said to him, I'm feeling pretty good that it worked. So,
well, and the thing I was thinking too, I just looked in took a few notes when you were talking, and I wrote in there, that's what made me think about the three ways. And then you mentioned later, but I put in my notes, taking a crippled bilingual guy or an injured, no offense in the term crippled, obviously, because right now the guy's
He
crippled
just
up.
injured, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a sympathy plea right there too, I mean, but it creates that three-way dynamic right there for conversation. All I know is, seems like people are quite at ease, and then of course you need the guy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that with the Mexican situation is, I'm a guy that doesn't understand the language. I mean,
Or the culture.
None
The
of it.
culture. Yeah.
And so they might understand me, but they still don't trust me. So when I bring a guy in that's in the restaurant business up the street, even if it's in the town next door, that's good stuff, because and then he goes, the restaurant place I own and the place I'm dealing with, all three of them are in it and doing it with us. Well, that led, I was able to get a Mexican restaurant the other day, just cruising through. And I actually used that. And I talked to the waiter. He said, well, she's not here. But he said, I can get her on the phone. I said, dial her up. And I talked to her for a minute. And then I used that. I said, well, do you know Garcia's and TT's and Don Jockey's over in Frankfurt at Midway? I said, they just signed up and they're running all their restaurants through this. And she kind of heard of them. And I said, that's fine. I said, well, all we're doing is just scheduling a call. And then she scheduled it out 7 days out. And I had to stay on top of her. So within a couple of days, I started sending stuff. Just hey, I actually went over and had dinner on my way out. I just, how you doing? And told her, I said, the food was good, even though it wasn't. Food was good. and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't the Frankfurt restaurants got them top, but it was decent. But I said, I'm the guy who called you the other day on the phone. And so I just wanted to say hi. The food was great. And out the door I went. Didn't talk to her about it enough. They're slammed. And so, I mean, the place was slammed. And so then the day of, then that went over the weekend, the day of, I sent the Dale video out. I said, here's some more information. You need to ask questions to the ERC guy when you talk to him about the stuff that's on this videotape, just to make sure that you're comfortable with the right company. And so I went on the offensive instead of the defensive on that one. And I looked in there a couple hours later after the call, and she's in there. And then the next day, a second one's in there. So.
Well, when you say you went on the offensive, you joined her side against bottom line, if you will.
I did. I
tell them, I
say that.
I tell them, I say, hey, if they can't sell you on this, I said, these questions you have, ask them. And if they can't answer them, hang up on them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one other thought right there. Dang it. There's other people waiting. When you said stay on top of her because it was a week out, I talked to a lady today and we got to talking about the whole accounting deal. I won't get into all of it, but she said she'd been told 100% she will be audited. And I dispelled that and had a good conversation with her. And I made her promise before we hung up. I said, will you promise me one thing? And that's not a no-oriented question, but I asked it anyways. I said, will you promise me one thing? She said, what's that? I said, will you promise me you will not talk to your accountant before you take this phone call? And I made a promise over the phone that she would not talk to her accountant. I see Dave's head nodding. And then, that was the thing. That was the whole, maybe the one gem I got from today is I made her promise not to talk to her accountant. And she said, I won't. I'm like, we're good. And then I sent her some info, but I better let somebody else talk here. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
So guys, what is three-way walking in with somebody, all that, you just look at it as the power of third party.
Right.
Any kind of third party you can use, walking in on the phone, have somebody else eat anyway. Any power of third party is always going to be more effective. Dave Johnston.
That's absolutely correct, based on my experience as well. So enough about that. One of the things, Dan, that you had said that really struck me was about when Dale was asking you about lack of trust and things like that, It was like you were deciding to go all in, and you had mentioned something about not be that this team gives you the answers. That you can come here and you'll get an answer and you'll get it quickly. And that you run into snares and roadblocks trying to email other entities. And I think all of us experience a little bit of that. And Dale says this all the time, that he's all in about this team. The company he could care less about. I agree. iHub is a great company. I love what they're doing and how they're going about their business. It's great. However, it doesn't matter where we go. This team right here is developing into a dominant force in the marketplace overall. And it's because of what you had mentioned, the principles that we're following, getting all in. It doesn't matter. We could be selling anything. We could be promoting anything. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but we could do anything. And with these principles, we will be successful. And that's what I took from this, that we all have the opportunity to stand heads and shoulders above all of the rest, stand out from the crowd. And, I talk with Gordy regularly to run things by him, to see if he's, and he reminds me how to change the verbiage and how to do, and don't get too excited. And, because I can get a little like that guy that's doing the other thing, all wavy. But I am so proud to be a part of this team and to be all in with this team. And so I don't even worry. I don't even contact. It would be a rare occurrence for me to contact somebody at iHub. I have some connections at Bottom Line. I have this team in particular. And when I go out there in the and I pull those doors, I know I got the force of this entire team right behind me. And that gives me a whole load of confidence to walk in there and say what I need to say and be confident in what I'm doing to help these businesses. And you, Dan, I'm very proud to stand side by side with you in this business. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for all that you've done all throughout the years. It's phenomenal, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. We got 6 minutes. So Dawn, don't get long-winded.
I won't. Dan, I just want you to know how proud I am of you. I don't know if you remember, but when you and Dale reconnected, I was there at that meeting in Midway with you, and that was the first opportunity I had the pleasure of meeting you. And you've worked on and off with us through the years on promotional products and in some of our businesses. And I'll be honest with you, I thought that your success here was in large part because you had contacts in B2B. And it's been really enlightening for me to hear you talk about, despite your health challenges, you went through the crash course, you figured it out. So all the respect in the world to you for all you've been through and the challenges you've overcome. And again, it's just been really enlightening to me to understand that you crash coursed yourself and you figured this out. And I'm just really proud of you, and I'm really excited for you.
And thanks, Don. I appreciate that. I think with what you're saying is fine. As I think about this, my fear of loss, FOMO part or whatever, that was a big thing starting off. But when I hit my goal of 6 figures, I pretty much went, you've hit your goal. It's calmed me down a lot now when I'm talking to people, and I'm not worried about it if I get it or don't. I've already hit my goal. So now it's about building, and you come from a different place when you know that you don't need it. You're just trying to help them out at that point. So I can say stuff to people that I'm starting to feel like I'm like Dale a little bit, but occasionally, but it's okay to say it, so it shakes them up a little bit sometimes. Oh well, I mean, I can live with it. I mean, I might be upset. I should, 3 more Hail Marys or whatever, but it's it's just one of those deals that I might feel really bad the next day, but I tend to get over it now. I mean, I don't let it hang on me too long, so I usually can shake it off pretty quick, and then I'm back in the mode again.
You can say anything to anybody as long as you're doing it out of love in your heart for them. If
Right?
you're
Not to be
sincerely,
spiteful.
if you're sincerely trying to help them and understand, a lot of people, you know, the truth will set them free, but first it might piss them off.
I know I've done that for a couple of them for sure.
Yeah, and that's okay. I don't care because their brain will be more engaged the next time. I'm going to leave them better off than when I found them, but they might not believe that initially.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can go back with some of these people. There's just probably a good dozen or two that believe that the accountant said to them that they don't qualify, and they're, you know, you got God, the accountant, and then them, and it's like, dude, you know. So, but I don't know if I'm the guy that's going to be breaking the ice, but somebody that's maybe do the bump program or something, get them in there. But there's a bunch of them out there that maybe when they start hearing about the places in town that are getting their money and that they did qualify, and the word gets out more because the checks are starting to come in, then we may have another round before it all ends.
I agree. And we'll do a 90 days left to get your money promotion at starting about 120 days out. Tony, shoot.
You know, Dan, man, one thing I like, I mean, I appreciate you tonight. And one thing I really like about listening to you talk, and I always have, is you're straight up, man. I mean, you speak the truth, and sometimes you say something and I'm thinking, why'd he say it? You know why you said it? Because it was fact. It's what you thought. It's what you believed. And I mean, you know, that's good and that's great. And that confirms what you say next. You know, that confirms what you say next. And, you know, the belief that I have sitting here listening to you is awesome. And I think that you probably go to people in that genuine, with that genuine humility. And you're not selling jack, man, right? You're just giving them, you're helping them. And that's what this is about. It's not the people, everybody out there, if you quit selling stuff,
Yeah.
quit trying to sell it and just talk to people from the heart and try to help them. I mean, you'll do wonderful here. I mean, it's not sometimes I think we get into talking about sales too much. This ain't sales at all. This is not sales. This is going through enough people and being honest with them. That's all it is. And I appreciate you, man. I think that I love listening to you. I remember Dale said that one time too. He said, you know, Dan always tells me what he thinks. And I mean, you do. I mean, and I appreciate you, man.
Well, thanks, Tony. It's just I think when you just said it's great, and I thank you for it. I've learned over the years to keep my yaps shut until I really need to say something, and then try to think about it more. Just not let it roll off my sleeve so fast. Even if it's negative, just think about it a little bit before I respond to it, and it's helped settle me down. And once I got past I think people can see that you're in it for the dollar amount. So if you can get past that and just settle down and just talk to them for a second without knowing, forget about the money part, just have the conversation, then sales starts to happen.
Hey, Dan, I forgot to ask you, go to the Mexican restaurant in Versailles. I don't know if you've been over to Versailles, but Dale and I used to go to a place over there. What's the name of that road, Dale?
It's on Versailles Road, where the old Taco Tico used to be.
We're talking to them right now.
Oh,
Where the old
awesome.
Taco Tico.
I talked to them last week. Yeah, Taco too. As a matter of fact, I love it. That's the only thing I ordered. Sancho smothered in cheese. It was awesome.
Oh, it's great. It's the best.
They've changed out 3 times now, but man, that Taco 2 or whatever come back, I'll be first in line.
Yeah, we drive from Georgetown over there because it's so good.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dale.
Yeah.
Can I mention a really, really key point? And Tony just brought it up and Dan had brought it up, but to drive it home is like, once you get to that place, where you don't care what you say, you're saying what you need to say. And you know, you got to take action enough to get a couple deals. But then when you lose 2 or 3 deals or 4 deals for 100 plus, and you'll learn to get over that stuff real quick. We've lost, I don't know how many deals for over 100 plus that have signed, and no, not that have signed. We've got a couple that are kind of that are trying to die that have signed, but we've had, I don't know how many people that book calls at 100 plus that don't sign and they're gone, they ghost you, this and that. You learn to not get emotionally involved. And then once you get to where you don't really care if you get the deal or not, we all want the deal. But once you're going to say the same thing, even you're going to say what you need to say, even if you feel like it might jeopardize the deal. And I just have become so transparent with people. And that's what makes us different, is when you really become transparent about, and I've told people before, say, look, you know, here's the deal. You're going to qualify for this deal. You're looking at 100 grand and you're going to qualify. So you know what? Is it worth $100,000 to you to make your accountant mad? And I say, and I'm not asking that sarcastically. I'm telling you, if it's not worth $100,000 to you to have a bad relationship with your accountant, don't do it. Don't get the money. Because if it's worth more than 100, I told this to a guy the other day and he was looking at 200,000 or 300,000. And he said, it's not even worth that. And I said, you know what, then you can get on the call, but you have to make that decision. And I said, hey, you know what your accountant's relationship is worth to you. And if it's worth more than 100,000, this may not be for you. When's the last time you ever had, and I mean, you're stating what you know they're thinking. So bring it up. And then you're showing a significant amount of empathy for where, you know, you're letting them know what's going on. And then they respect you for it. It might not get the deal, but it dang sure ain't going to be what kills it.
I've got a deal right now with 100, and it's in my group. Somebody on my team, it's 140 employees, and she's already the document side of gathering documents, and she's always busy. She won't answer the phone. It's constant, and we all go through that kind of stuff, right? So finally, we get her on the phone, and she is just so busy. And I flat told her, I said, do you realize the amount of money you're going to make? You could hire 3 people and never even touch this. You can hire 3 people to do it for you. I mean, you know, and we, you know, and it's just, we dropped it. I was done with it. We really tried to help her as much as we can. And she called us tonight and she's setting up a meeting. She scheduled a call with her project manager. She's really getting on board again. But I mean, sometimes you just got to tell them. And not sometimes, always, you know,
And bump them if all else fails. Bump
that
them.
bump.
Do the bumps. Dave Trill, you got something to end it?
Real quick, I wanted to
This
ask.
is not noon. This is not the noon call, Dave.
Okay. I'm all messed up.
You're good, man. Yeah.
Do they get, when on the initial call, do they actually answer the question of ballpark how much you'll get back on the initial call? Or is that just tell them about it?
I think some of them do and some of them don't. It depends upon
The
who's
one
doing
I
the
was on, it did not happen.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks.
And if they doubt that they're going to get the money, send them the check video. Okay, guys, they're on. So we'll see y'all on the corporate calls. See some of you tomorrow. Well, I'll probably try to, I don't know. I'm going to be on the road tomorrow, but we'll see some of you. I'll be listening.
Dan.
Speaking.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
Thank you,
Dan.
Dan.
Great job, Dan.
Thanks,
you.
Dan. Good
Thanks,
job.
Dan. See you, buddy.
See you guys over on the
Jason.
Bye,
court.
Dale.
Thank you, Dan.
Welcome. All right.
Great job, man.
All right. Thank you. See you.
See you soon.